Hey, business building warrior, it's Jim with another episode of Silent Sales Machine Radio. We have a guest today, which means in a moment, I'm going to flip a switch and get Jaime Manning over here with us to do an interview. Jaime is a lifelong entrepreneur. She's a mom with a couple of boys who are young adults now. She has a bit of time on her hands, so she's been working on her business. Very flexible, part-time effort. But last month, for example, she sold just under $30,000 in a single month on Amazon while she runs another business as well and has a pretty busy schedule with other commitments. So for the very part-time effort with approximately a 20% net profit margin, she sold about $30,000. So she put $5,000, $6,000 in the bank last month on top of the other things she has going on. Not a bad part-time flexible gig. She's yet another proven Amazon course student who's using the Replans model, which is what 95% of the success stories in our community are doing. That's the basic Amazon model that we teach to all new students. And then from there, you can scale up into any of the other numerous ways to make money on Amazon. But you're making money as you learn. And this particular model, we have students who are doing multiple $1 million per year with fairly small teams. That's what you hear on this podcast episode, and today's guest is no exception. She didn't know a whole lot about e-commerce before she got into our community. She almost accidentally stumbled into, launching a private label brand, which if you've listened to many episodes of this podcast, you know, you should never start on Amazon by trying to build a brand, not until you have experience, not until you're putting money in the bank selling in-demand products. So she avoided that disaster, found our community, found this podcast, and has a really cool story to share with you about this journey that hasn't been stressful. There's been some things to learn. She traveled out to Phoenix to meet with Rich and Shelly, who are two great leaders on our team. They're part of our community here. They've got a beautiful business. They're doing multiple millions of dollars. They've got a warehouse, and you can go hang out with them and see their operation. I got a link to all that in the show notes today. And Jaime, our guest today, actually went out and did that. And she shares her experience, what it was like to travel out there to see their whole business built on the Replans model with an emphasis on wholesale. It's a great opportunity for you as well. If you want to call our coaching team, we'd love to talk to you about it. So let's jump over and meet Miss Jaime Manning. She's on the line now. I think you'll enjoy this. So Jaime, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited to be talking to you. I started listening to you about a year ago, and so this is, I'm just real excited. Glad to be here.
Well, honored to be here as well and with you, and looking forward to hearing your story because we just met like moments before we hit the record button. So
exactly.
Right along with the audience, I'm going to find out a little bit more about you. I'm looking forward to it. Let's jump into it.
Okay. What's funny about all that, I do have to say, is like, I feel like I know you already. I've been listening to you for a year. And so like, I feel like, you know, I can talk to you and I know you. So just, I'm going to put that in.
Well, in a way, I know you as well, because you're part of this community. We've got a certain culture. Right. I mean, we love our families. We love serving through business. We're using the internet creatively. That puts us in some pretty weird space.
Right.
Culturally. So we're already friends, even though we have never talked before.
Exactly. So a little bit about my background. I grew up, my dad was in the paving business. So I started working for his company back in like 7th grade. And mom taught me how to do payroll. I worked, after school, things like that. So I kind of always had that entrepreneurial spirit just from both of them. And I was even out on the road with him when I was in college, flagging down cars and whatnot. But that just taught me the value of hard work, I feel like. But anyway, so I married my husband about 30 years ago. We have 2 boys. They're 20 and 23 right now.
Well, you don't look old enough to have been married 30 years with 2 boys.
I know, it's crazy. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I really had not heard about the Amazon business until about 2016. A friend of mine, he's an auctioneer, and he had told me that he had cleaned out this estate that the lady sold on Amazon. And I'm like, he's got to be kidding me, because I just had never heard about anything like that. And so both of us got real excited. I went ahead and signed up, to be a seller. And then my kids were both in high school at that point. I just kind of like, I just didn't follow up on it. Let's put it that way. I think the timing just wasn't right for me. And so, but anyway, it was in the back of my mind. And so about 20, I got to think now, 20, I look at my notes, 2020, September, a friend of mine, she mentioned to me that she was selling on Amazon. And I'm like, you know what? And I told her the story of that, that I heard about. And she was just doing FBM. So she was shipping out 40 and 50 packages a day on her own. She wasn't shipping to Amazon. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. And so I did. And we were scheduled to go on vacation about, 3 weeks later. And I'm like, there's got to be an easier way to, I know people send this in. I've kind of listened to a few podcasts from other people at that point. And I was like, there's got to be a way for me to be able to ship this to Amazon. So, I got on YouTube, I think like everybody kind of does. And I said, okay, how do you ship to Amazon, FBA or FBA? And so that's how I learned how to do it. Luckily, I found a guy that was, pretty easy. He wasn't trying to sell anything. So, I got it figured out, shipped my first package in, and then we left for vacation the next day. And I had my 2 boxes sent in, and then we left. And, we were on vacation, and I had put my FBM on vacation mode. And so anyway, we get back from vacation, after a week or two, it had been, I guess, logged into Amazon. And sure enough, I had my first FBA sale, and I was so excited. Just, I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? This actually works. And then actually, I think almost all the products that I had sent in within the next 2 weeks were gone.
What types of products were they? Just curious.
It was like cosmetics, just kind of a personal care, I guess, products that I found. And at this point, everything I was doing was just retail arbitrage, because that's what she was doing. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I, it's kind of how I got in. Now, let me back my story up. I also own a retail store. It's a kitchen shop. And so I knew I had access to those wholesalers at some point. And so what I started doing then is access those wholesalers. And a lot of them I had to work with because they were sold on Amazon. The products were sold on Amazon. So I had to really look and try to find some that I didn't want to compete with them. I had learned that at that point as well. So I started kind of dabbling in that, too. But anyway, so, I get through Christmas, it was exciting because I had a kind of a Christmas rush. And then that I found your podcast. I was listening to another podcast that I was getting some information from, but I never felt like I was in the right place with them. They never were really giving me information. They were telling me a few things that, that I could hear or I could get, but it was just not what I needed. I needed, like, I want the guts, like, tell me how to do this. What do I do? And so at the bottom of my podcast, it says, recommend it for you. And it was one of yours. And so I listened to it. I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. Listen to another one. And just from people telling their story, I think I'm like, I think I found the right fit. And you had mentioned Rabbi Lapp in one of them, which I love him. And so I'm like, okay, I think I'm in the right community right now. So I went ahead and I signed up for the Proven Amazon course, and then watched some of, I haven't watched a whole lot in that, because you just start getting excited and you're like, okay, what can I learn and what can I do? But I think honestly, listening to the podcast, it just, when you keep hearing over and over and over people, their success stories, and they're from all different backgrounds, you're just like, okay, you know what? I think I can do this. And so after about a week or two of, I was just like listening to him the whole entire time. And after that, Rich Potter comes on, and he's talking about, he's doing this, the hybrid wholesale course in Mesa. And I remember I pulled over on the side of the road because I was driving at the point. And I said, you know what? I called my husband. I said, I think we're going to go to Mesa.
You pulled over to call. Were you just always safe, or were you that blown away by what you heard?
I'm kind of one of those people that when I go now, like after I've got enough information, then I'm going to jump in and we're going to go for it. So we love to travel anyway. And that's part of the reason for this business is that we want to be able to, I want to have something that I can do where we can get away. We can leave. I can just drop it and say, hey, we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. And, we can do that. So anyway, I called him. I said, you want to go to Mesa? And he goes, okay, well, yeah, sure. So I called and signed up for it. And that was, I think like in March or April. And then we were scheduled to go in July. And, I can get into that later too. I don't know if you want.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about how that went. So that'd have been less than a year ago at this point. We're talking July 2021.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. And I'd love to hear your feedback on that. And of course, for those who are listening, let me just get everyone up to speed. If they're brand new, maybe this is their first episode, Jamie. We've used a couple terms. I don't want to lose anybody.
Sure.
I mentioned FBA, FBM. That's just your two fulfillment options. If you sell on Amazon, you can ship it yourself like you have to if you're selling on eBay, for example. Ship it yourself. Or if that's FBM. Or FBA is send it in Amazon. They store it for you. When it sells, they send you a check. But they keep a piece of the action too for themselves. And then you mentioned Rich and Shelly Potter, our friends out near Phoenix and Mesa. They've got it's somewhere between $5 and $6.5 million, I think, operation out there.
Yes.
And part of our coaching program, you have the option, if you'd like, is you can go see their operation. They're doing what we teach, and they've built a large team, and you can see their products, see their team, see how they do what they do, spend a few days with them. So we'll dive into that a little bit. We'll stick a link to that in the show notes today for those who are listening, if you want to go check out that opportunity. But yeah, let's keep rolling. Take us wherever you'd like to go, Jamie.
Okay. So then from there, we kind of had that month. I think at that point I was at about $10,000 in sales a month. And I dropped a little bit the next month because we were gone for about 2 weeks during that trip. We turned it into a work vacation type trip. And then after that, I just honestly just started every month, just kept getting better and better. And I learned you just got to keep sending products in, and you have to have faith on that. I use Keepa all the time, and I've listened to enough people just, talk about it, and they love it. And I use that, and that's what works.
Let me make sure we don't lose anyone here too, Jamie. You're doing a great job. But Keepa, go back and listen to podcast episode 369. If you don't know what Keepa is, I'm not going to spend time on it here. But it is hands down by far the most useful tool an Amazon seller can have in their arsenal. If they're using the strategies that we teach here, the strategies that you've heard with hundreds of these success stories, all these interviews on our show, they're all mentioning Keepa. Why is that? The episode 369 describes why. That's your homework.
Yes.
If you're listening to this today.
It really, to me, it's very inexpensive for the value you get out of it.
It's like $20 a month or something.
Yes. And it's just, because at the very beginning, when I started doing this, I was mainly doing, the retail arbitrage. And like I said, I started getting into some wholesaling. But I would be the one going and scanning the UPC code and doing it that way. And honestly, at first I got very, very frustrated because I'm like, where are all these people finding products? Because I was finding nothing. I'm like, you can't make any money doing this, And so I finally, after I watched the video, I watched a video on how to use Keepa the correct way. I now understand and I see it. Like, I know I've heard you say that you can just go in a store and you can just find products all the time. And I feel like I'm getting at that point now. I mean, there's still times I'll walk in and I don't find anything, but I look at it at a totally different way now. I heard on one of the episodes, the guys are like, you look at the top shelf and the bottom shelf. And that's what I do. If I go into a store, I do that. Now I do have to say, and I can't remember if I mentioned this, but I'm from a very rural area in Central Texas. So our closest cities are 60 miles away in all directions. We're kind of in the middle of San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. And so I have to do a lot of driving for my shopping days. I mean, we do have a local Walmart, but it's not the best, I hate to say, but, so, I kind of have to plan my days out a little bit more. And at some point I'd like to get to do more of the online, arbitrage, just finding things online. And, I know, I think it was Leah that does the online, and she ships it to a prep center to do for
Right.
her.
Never sees or touches her inventory.
Exactly. And that really
7
interests me
episodes or
a
so
lot.
ago, 10 or so by the time this one comes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a beautiful business model that is.
Right. It is. And so anyway, so we're just, we're here in the country, and it's just like, it's, it's a little bit harder for me, but you can still do it. And I think that's the point that I want to get across is it doesn't matter where you are. You can still do this business. And especially after I heard her episode, I'm like, oh my goodness, she's not even, even seeing her products, and I'm like, okay, for us that we'd like to travel and go and do things, that would be, to me, that's a perfect fit. So I kind of want to go in that direction at some point.
Yeah.
But
well, we've got
right
another
now,
coaching
like I
couple
said,
on our team, just to tell you another story along those same lines.
Yes.
And we've got some training coming out from them. They've turned their whole business over to virtual assistants. They travel in their RV and check the reports.
Right.
Like Leah, she's doing her own shopping, right?
Right. Exactly.
They don't even do that. They've got trained virtual assistants managing their entire business. People living in other countries around the world, working for a few dollars an hour and eager to do so, happy to do so, running their entire profitable operation. This is a truly could be a turnkey. You typically don't start there.
Right.
You got to learn, but you've got the foundation and the knowledge now, Jamie, that stuff's within reach for you. As we're working through your story, something I'd like to take a little off ramp here and contrast from your perspective. I always like to hear people talk about the difference between scanning barcodes, looking for inventory. It's kind of the Easter egg hunt version. It's kind of like hitting yard sales. You can find great stuff. Yes, you absolutely can. I'm not anti that. We're getting into yard sale season here in Central Indiana. I'm looking forward to it. I'll go out on my run and I'll make note of who's having yard sales. I'll go home, get cleaned up, out my car, and go hit all the good yard sales.
Right.
You can find stuff for $1, $2 that you can flip for 50, or you could spend 8 hours driving around and find nothing.
Right. And honestly, that's what I at the beginning, that's what I felt like.
That's what it feels like. But contrast that with Replans, if you would. Just the two.
Well, so that's really what I got into. I listened to Jimmy's course on the Replans. And I'm like, okay, so a lot of my replans that I do now are, I would say, more local products, like items that you find only kind of in this area. So I feel like I've kind of, got my little niche there that, someone from Indiana, say, can't go and get these products. They're going to have to either order them online or go through Amazon.
I've heard you guys have better salsa than we do down there.
Right. I was very nervous about shipping things like that, but hey, I've got it down. I tell you how you learn on your episodes is that, sometimes it's just great to hear somebody's story, but I heard one, I think maybe you mentioned that, I put those things in boxes, and I put bubble wrap and then put them in boxes. I'm like, oh, okay. Why didn't I think of that? So now I'm not scared to ship a glass jar with salsa in it. Or, cans of beans or whatnot, it's, I'm getting to that point where now I am doing a little bit more grocery than I had before. And so I feel like I'm going to almost have to go to, like doing a pallet because of the weight. And so that's a whole nother,
getting into
whole nother thing I'm going to need to learn.
LTL shipping versus a box at a time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, you're stepping through the stages. Right.
Exactly. And, I just kind of feel like, my catalog of products is all over the place.
Right.
I mean, I don't stick with one certain thing. There's things that I order. I'm like, who would ever buy this? And it sells, so it's just, you just have to stick with it, I think. And I think that's where I'm at this point. And I go by faith, and I'm like, the Keepa says it sells, so we're going to go for it.
Yep.
So then there's times, like I have some products that have done great for like 1 or 2 months. And then all of a sudden somebody comes in and, tanks the price, and you're like, okay, well, let's just sit on that one for a while, and you can go back to them at some point. But,
and one thing I've noticed about good replans too, when that happens, is every replan has a certain amount of life to it.
Sure.
And then it goes away for one reason or another.
Right.
But what I've noticed is a lot of those replans that were really hot for a while and the price tanked, it was just a matter of time before nobody could find that item anywhere. And it has another like second life at an even better level.
Right.
Right. Because if it was hot once, it's going to be hot. And it's not that it stopped being a good seller. It just stopped being a good seller at a good price temporarily. Exactly. But if you hold on to some of it, it comes back.
Exactly.
Like, you know, a few months from now, it's like, whoa, we flew through all of our inventory so fast. We had one, we bought so much of it. We're thinking we bought too much. Can we send some of this back? We were crazy.
Right.
But suddenly the prices went up on it dramatically. It's still a hot product. The person who was selling it super cheap sold out. It's just us left standing at a great price and we sold all of it. Right.
Oh, I love that.
Typically there's a happy ending to replans if you're patient, but I do want to see if this resonates with you.
Okay.
The difference between replan selling and scanning barcodes is the difference between looking for good products versus looking for good ASINs.
Correct. Yes.
Right. Talk me through that. If I was new and I'm like, what'd you just say? You know, help me think through that from your perspective. There's no right or wrong answer here. I just like hearing the different ways people describe the business.
Sure. So initially I would just go in and, you know, take my seller app and scan the barcode and just, you know, I don't know what it could be, a can of beans. We'll just use that example. And I'm like, okay, well, how are people making any money on this? You know, that's going through my mind. And then versus the replans where you take the, you know, Del Monte, say, can of beans, and you look at it to where, you know, I search it now by the brand and, you know, 6 packs or whatever. That's kind of how I do it now. And, you know, I look at, and I'm just using food as an example. There's so many other things that I have some like home maintenance type products that people probably only order maybe once or twice a year, but I know people use them. And so they'll order them, you know, so that, and it's the same thing. There's, you know, different sizes and boxes. So now I go by, for the replans, I kind of go by the brand name or the item type and then go from there. And find my replans that way.
I've actually got a video, Jamie, that I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but for the listeners' benefit too, in our Facebook group, which is about 69,000 people right now. But we created a video, and this is a free Facebook group. There's a link in the show notes right at the top that kind of talks you through the basics of what you just said. It's kind of hard to verbalize, isn't it? But what do you mean use Amazon to search for brands? Like, so I go out and actually do it and find replans right there on the screen. Amazon.com, not logged in, I'm just shopping like a shopper.
Right.
Looking for stuff that jumps off the page at me that's priced kind of crazy. Like, who would pay $28 for that?
Right.
Well, let's dig in and see if anyone is paying that much for that. And if they are, that might be a product I want to go find.
Right. Exactly.
Simple. Right.
And that's hard to kind of, for me, it was hard to get through my mind because I'm like, well, I want to go through the seller app and I want to use it. And I know when we were out in Mason, Rich, you know, did it the same way. He goes, you go through just regular Amazon.com, but I don't know why it took so long for me to figure that out.
Probably because you spent time on YouTube. Everyone's talking about expensive tools and researching keywords, and it's like
right. Yeah. And I mean, I do use some of the different tools. You know, we were talking earlier about if somebody drops a price, I do use a Repricer. I use Aura for my Repricer.
Beautiful.
And that actually that helped a whole lot when I first started using that.
Once you get 100 or so ASINs, typically it's time to start looking at a repricer that can help you manage your prices, bumping them up and down, winning the buy box as often as you can at a good profit. And there's a good handful of them that we've talked about in our community. There's like a big 3 or 4 of them that most people use, but everyone has their preferences.
They do. And actually, this is one that when we were in Mesa that Rich had recommended that they used. And I figured, well, he's got all the information on it. You know, he can train me on it. And that's kind of how it went from there. But it was just, you know, I'm not one I just like going out shopping and getting stuff. I'm not one to go and check, okay, do I need to drop this price today? Or do I need to, raise this price today? And so having that repricer, when you set your minimum and your maximum, it's just kind of nice because it just moves wherever it needs to go. And, one day you might sell something for $20. The next day it might be $30, it just depends. But, so I use that. And, I also use the, what's it called? Rev Seller. Is that what I use?
Yeah. Rev Seller.
Yes.
Yeah. that was a gentleman from our community that started that tool, and it's become very popular in the industry. And so he gave us the best price you can get anywhere. Proven AmazonCourse.com/Rev Seller, REV Seller, SELLER.
Right.
I'll stick a link for all this in the show notes too, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, but just so, I mean,
what's it do for you?
So I'm sorry. I'm sitting there looking at my notes just to make sure I got everything right.
No, you're doing great. Just conversation. We'll go over anything we miss.
Okay. So
we'll look over your notes.
The Rev Seller is where it shows you your profit. Correct? Am I on the right one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when I look up on Amazon, and it'll say, okay, well, this is your profit that you'll make. You put in the cost of the item that you're purchasing, and it shows your profit. And so, I mean, I could figure that out. It takes all the fees out and all that. I could probably figure that out, but it's just having that convenience of it
right on the screen
there
when you're on Amazon.
Yeah, right. It's just right there in front of you. Mm-hmm. And then I also use, and I think this one's free. It's the what is it called? Quick View DS, Amazon Quick View, I think. I'm
not as familiar with that one.
Okay. I think it's a free thing. And basically it shows you if Amazon is on the listing.
Oh, okay.
So as you're scrolling through Amazon, it'll show how many FBA sellers and if Amazon's on the listing.
That's cool. And well, Keepa kind of does that too with the little
orange bars. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think it's a free extension, but you just go through and I mean, I can just scroll real fast and just look at it. And so because if I see Amazon's on the listing, I just don't even bother to look at it. And I don't know if that's the correct way or not, but that's kind of
there's no rights or wrongs. I would say 80% of the time, you're probably right. But oddly enough, there's plenty of times where Amazon can't get it at any better price than we can.
Okay.
So they're just another seller in the mix.
Sure. Right. And that's what I've heard from, not so much in your community, but, and I've listened to other things, don't compete with Amazon. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just not going to bother with it. And so I haven't, but anyway, so that's kind of some of the tools that I use.
That's great. Yeah. Good overview. I appreciate that. Maybe you can send me a link to that free one you mentioned, and I'll stick it in the show notes too for folks to check out, because that is a new one. But I like to see the history of what Amazon has done, because I actually like to see Amazon showing up and going away.
Okay.
If Amazon is showing up for a few days and they go away for a few weeks, and they show up for a few days and they go away for a month, right? And they show up and they're gone again on a listing. What that tells me is they're having trouble getting a hold of that product in a sufficient quantity to keep up with demand.
Sure.
So if I can figure out a way to get a hold of it myself, even a little bit, it's probably a good seller. It's just another indication that, because Amazon doesn't jump on stuff that's going to sit there for 90 days.
Right. Exactly.
Jump on the stuff that's moving.
Exactly.
And if they're having trouble keeping it in stock themselves, hey, that's a bit of an invitation versus a stop sign.
Yes.
Right. So you learn these little tricks over time, and you end up with a list of, hundreds of ASINs that you can sell against, that you just have to go source when you need them. Right. So how many ASINs do you have at this point, approximately?
I would say, I have about 500. There's probably about 50 to 75 that I need to probably go through and take off, that I don't sell anymore. Either I can't get the product anymore because there are some things that have been discontinued, or they just didn't sell very well. So, and then I do some seasonal things. So I have like some Christmas that I, of course I only bring in, in the fall. Right. But which kind of funny though, I did sell one of my Christmas items, last month. So it sells you never know.
There's people out there buying Christmas stuff year round, trees and stands and decorations.
I mean, I leave it there, but usually I don't replenish until, the season comes around. Closer. But no, so and out of that, I would say about right now, probably about 40% is wholesale, and then 60% is replans. It's just me doing this business right now. I mean, my husband is 100% behind me. And he always tells me, hey, when you need me, I'm here. And I was like, I know, but it's one of those things. I'm one of those people that I just want to prove that I can do it.
Yeah. I think
I know at some point I'm going to have to hire somebody, but
I saw a meme yesterday, something along the lines of, beware, if you're married to an entrepreneur, they assume you're an assistant.
Right.
Like, yeah, right. Of course. Why wouldn't you be?
Right. And he knows me well enough that he puts up with me. So
Yeah, that's
right
awesome.
now I'm over here looking at my dining room tables full of products. So my
Yep.
kitchen is become my office because, well, we're in here cooking or doing whatever together, and I'm sitting there prepping, the whole time, and he laughs every time he hears the tape pull, that sound, that masking or not masking, but the shipping tape.
The sound of money, as we like to call it.
That's
right?
what he says. He goes, "That's just money. Sounds like money."
Right? It's like, do you guys have pig farms down there by any chance? We got pig farms up here.
Yes.
We drive by them, and you know what the farmers always say? What's that smell?
Yeah.
That's the smell of money.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, he'll hear that tape and he goes, "Yeah."
That's great.
But I let our boys are gone, and so and he's off during the day, and so it's nice. It gives me something to do, keeps me busy, and I'm not a type of person just to sit around and not do anything. So I've just always got to be busy and do that. So yeah, I enjoy it. It's fun right now. It's like saying we went to Mesa. I think that was kind of my turning point, because at the beginning it was more of this will give me a little extra spending money, whatever. Cause like I have a little small retail store, and that keeps me busy too. That, I'm always ordering products for that. And actually the store is part of a co-op. So it's 2 hours from here. So I have to drive 2 hours, take my products and come back. And it's fun. I've been doing that for about 10 years. And, but I didn't do it all the time. It's like, well, I need something to do while, he's at work and the kids are gone, and, what am I going to do? And so that's what this started off as. Well, when I guess when I went to Rich and Shelley's, it just kind of like opened my eyes to like, there's way, way more to this business than I ever thought of. I mean, could be something that I could pass down to my kids if they decide that they want to do this at some point. Or I could sell it, if I could get to the point where, I have employees or virtual assistants or whatever, it could be a business that I could sell at some point too. And so it's, it just changed my whole mindset. And so once I got back, it's just like, okay, I've got to find product. And I feel like I'm kind of behind right now, even that. I mean, there's stuff that I'm out of inventory of and I haven't even ordered it. I've just got to get better and get more focused on, okay, the business side of it, where, okay, let's get these products ordered in time and get them here and get them prepped and get them shipped,
Well, you mentioned that bottom 10% that you probably need to purge off your list of 500.
Yes.
There's probably a top 10 or 20% that always needs more attention than you can give it.
Sure. Yes.
That's the nature of Replans, is there's always something to do that makes you money. There's always profitable work to be done. Right. And it's just a matter of building a system that captures as much of that as possible. I almost look at it like the visual I just had is, it's like you're sitting by a stream with fish just going by constantly. Mm-hmm. You can stick that net anytime you want and you're going to get some fish.
Right.
You've got other things to take care of too. Exactly. Obviously, you're going to miss some fish. That's just a reality. You got to sleep. You got to tend to life and family and business. But anytime you get that net in the water, so you build a team that can do that for you. Now you're getting a little bit more, right? So that's you're just scaling up. But once you have that understanding of what this business really, really is, you know what? I'd like to contrast, because I don't talk to many people who have the ability to contrast the retail store that you have. Tell us a little bit about that with the e-commerce and your excitement level, your energy level, how they're feeding into each other. Mm-hmm. Talk us through that a little bit, because you mentioned the wholesale opportunities that you've discovered because of your retail presence.
Right.
Talk us through that a little bit.
Okay. So my retail store is basically like a kitchen store. It's kitchen gadgets and things like that. And I'm part of this, it's a large co-op in Waco, Texas, which Waco is very well known for magnolia silos and all that. And we're basically about 10 blocks from there. Okay. And so we have lots and lots and lots of foot traffic, which is great. But so I basically rent a space from her. She supplies all the employees, everything. All I do is just supply the product. Right. So that has become almost just kind of routine for me, because now I've learned there which products sell. And because it's something that's not seasonal, there's no really expiration dates or anything, like it's not food items. I can just, basically I just reorder. I have on my QuickBooks, it says, okay, time to reorder. So I just reorder, comes in, I price it, take it there and come back. So it's just become routine, which I still love it though. It's still, the people there are wonderful. Our owner's great. And I do have to make a comment about that though. Last year in Texas, we had a super hard freeze that, us Texans aren't used to.
Yeah, I remember that. You guys get a little ice on the road and
We
shut the
got
state
some
down,
ice.
right?
And so this large warehouse that we are in, the sprinkler systems froze and flooded the entire building. So we basically got a call. We had a week to get all of our stuff out. Everything's ruined, it's just a mess. And thankfully I had my Amazon business to back up, because I was used to my income from that business. That was my spending money. That was, had that. Well, when your business is shut down for, months, you're like, okay, now what am I going to do? And then, so anyway, thankfully I did have the Amazon business to fall back on. But anyway, so I would say the difference between like the retail, I don't know. It's kind of hard to distinguish the two. I put them all together, and so it's just my one big conglomerate.
Yeah.
Business,
and you enjoy, you get joy out of both. And
I do, I really do. It's it almost becomes a game a little bit. I don't know. You try to figure people out, and you think you have people figured out, and then it totally changes. But I have to worry about like people shoplifting, things like that. Well, it's kind of like with Amazon, it's returns, or like, actually I got a return back from someone that wasn't even my item. And, it's just like, okay, you have to just deal with people on that. But, no, I feel like that one's kind of more of a machine. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just, I know what to do on that. So Amazon is still new to me, even though I feel like I've been in it, almost a year and a half now. It's still very new. And I mean, I feel like I'm learning every day with that. And it might just be one little thing that pops up, but it's always something that I'm learning. And so that's kind of rewarding at some point, because you feel like you're always moving forward. And actually with the retail part, I'm in a certain spot, so I can't get any bigger. I mean, the only thing I can do to increase my income is to get like a higher end in items, but you don't know if they're going to sell. So,
right. You're doing a little more guessing. There's no Keepa for that business.
No, there isn't. No, you just start, and I'm one, if it hasn't sold, I move it out. I clearance it, I'm out. We're not doing that one anymore. But yes, with Amazon, you kind of do have more of not a guarantee, but you have somebody kind of helping you. You feel like it's Keepa's this little person that's helping you out, saying, hey, by the way, there was 100 drops on this product, this might be a good one. And so, it's, you have that, which is great. And like I said, there's, sometimes it's not right, but it or somebody jumps on the listing and tanks the price, and you're like, oh my gosh,
Well, that's what we teach, that ease into these ASINs.
Yes.
That you find.
Yes.
Test them small, see what happens, and then slowly ramp up. There's no scenario where you end up with 50 unsellable units of anything ever.
No.
With the Replans model, it's impossible, because
you're
just replenishing as you need, few at a time. Your worst case scenario is you keep hitting zero inventory on a good seller, so you buy a little bit more.
And that's what happens with me. I do. And that's where I need to get better at kind of sending my products in sooner, or like going shopping more, and I don't know how accurate the, where it suggests, Amazon suggests you send in, 20 products. I don't know really how accurate that is, but
we can talk through that a little bit.
Okay. I kind of go by that a little, but like I had one item, it said, you need to send in 80 of these. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sending in like 10.
Yeah.
So
Well, I I don't go so much by what Amazon tells you to do because they make their suggestions. Like, hey,
sure.
based on current trends, we think you need to send in 100 units of this product. Like, well, you
Right.
know what? I'm going to go take a look at Keepa, see how it's doing. There's a sweet spot in there, though, that makes sense to pay attention to. I just actually had this conversation here a couple days ago. We do our Monday night kind of hangout live chats, and someone asked me a very similar question, pretty much the same question. And here's the basic response I gave them was when Amazon's making these suggestions saying, hey, you should send more of this item. That just means you need to go back and take a really close look at Keepa and see,
Okay.
okay, yeah, I can see that. My sales history on this item, I can see that. But then you take that leap from having maybe 5 or 10 sitting in inventory. And when you make that leap
Sure.
up to 30 or 40 sitting in inventory, now you can be spread out in all the distribution centers that Amazon has. That's the advantage. And
Correct.
you will see a more rapid pace of your product selling
Okay.
because if someone in New York is ordering that product and you've only got one unit sitting in Los Angeles, even if you're the best price,
Mhm.
you're not going to win the buy box
Right.
because they
Right.
want to find someone that's got one near this buyer who just bought the product.
Sure.
They're going to reward the buy box to somebody who's charging $10 more than you are
Mhm.
because it's right down the street.
Oh,
Right. So now you
yes.
get your inventory spread out, you get 30 or 40 units in there, enough to make 30 or 40 sales of that ASIN. Now you're
Right.
spread out and you're going to see the buy
Exactly.
box more often. And so pay attention. And the advice I gave him was, we talked earlier, Jamie, about your bottom 10% of the ASINs that you probably need to
Sure.
let go.
Right.
Your top 10% of your ASINs that are really
Mhm.
smoking, these are the ones that you want to take a look at and maybe go ahead and get a little more aggressive with your inventory levels and
Okay.
spread it out across the country a little bit. And you're going to see the results. You're going to win the buy box a lot more because
Okay.
availability.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
you're near the zip code of your buyers that way.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay.
We'll get back to the show in just a moment. Our latest sponsor for Silent Sales Machine Radio is goaura.com. That's GOAURA.com. If you're ready to take your sales to the next level as an Amazon seller, then repricing is the way to go. No more manually adjusting your prices every day. If you're sick of repricing tools that drop their activity and leave you in the dark, well, GoAura can help. They offer a modern platform that is incredibly easy to use, advanced strategies and automation features like workflows and world-class customer support to help when you need it. Their support is never outsourced, by the way. Aura is $97 per month normally, but the team is extending a 25% discount to listeners of this show for 3 months if you use the special link and code. The code is in the show notes as well, but you can go right now to goaura.com. That's GOAURA.com/Jim and use the code Silent Radio. After you've created your account in the billing section, it'll save you a lot. Go check it out, goaura.com. And maybe go ahead and get a little more aggressive with your inventory levels and
Okay.
spread it out across the country a little bit. And you're going to see the results. You're going to win the buy box a lot more because
Okay.
availability.
Right.
But,
Exactly.
you're near the zip code of your buyers that way.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. See, I learn as I'm talking to you. I love that.
Oh, I learn every episode as well. You've got me thinking. I have been considering strongly some kind of retail possibility because it just makes a lot of sense. Every business has their kind of their dead pile, man, what are we going to do with it? It just doesn't make sense to have. And I've met you and a few others recently who, yeah, retail is very profitable. Walk-in traffic, put someone
Yes.
behind the cash register. I have a feeling it's never you. It doesn't sound like.
No, and that's the beauty of her whole business plan, which I love. The owner is an amazing person. She started this when she was like 24 years old, and we're actually celebrating our 25th year there. I haven't been with them that long, but I've been with them about 10 years.
She's been in the same retail location for 25 years.
Yes, and it's a beautiful. It's
That's
an
a
old.
hero.
It's an
Those
old
people,
where.
those people
No,
don't exist.
no, it's amazing. It's an old warehouse building, and they converted it to like the whole. The whole level's it's just a store, and there's probably 40 of us in there, 40 different vendors, and she makes it fun. And I mean, it's like a destination to go shopping.
And she's there every day, kind of the life.
She's
She's
there
got to be like
every
a local
day.
celebrity.
She is. I mean, she actually makes their the magazine that, celebrates all the business owners in town. She's made it several times.
I
So
love entrepreneurs. I don't, you
she's
see,
amazing.
just based alone on what you've told me about her, I love her. I don't know any of the details about her, but just to be in one business location that long, running a profitable business that serves that many other people well, made it a destination.
It's amazing. I have to say with when we had the freeze and we were going to be shut down for at least 6 months, she goes out and she finds another, it's a smaller location, but she offers that to us tenants, hey, you're going to have to downsize your space, but I found us another location. We're going to temporarily move in that place. It was unbelievable. I mean, she's incredible, and so
she needs to.
I love working with her, and that's why I probably will never leave there because I love it.
Yeah. Well, business is about the relationships.
It is. It is.
It just makes it so much more likely for you to stick with her through a freeze and a move and why? Well, because there's a relationship there. I have faith that this person is who they've always been, and they're going to be there for me, and I'm there for them. And the relationship is as important as whatever it is that you've built for your customers, even.
Well, and that was the beauty too, is the customers followed. I mean, I was like, okay, where are they? Are they going to actually drive? It was probably 10 blocks away. Are they going to drive there, and come shop? And they did. It's because she's built this. I mean, I feel like it's just a brand almost, this brand that, everybody wants to go there. And I love that.
It's probably almost a franchisable model.
It probably could be, but I don't know. You'd have to have her.
You got to have the right dynamic person at the middle.
I think so. There's other people that have tried to do something similar and it just doesn't work. But she's put in blood, sweat, and tears into that place. Yeah. And so it's,
Well, for some reason, it reminds me kind of ChickfilA. I always just assumed as, they're the best fast food restaurant as far as dollars generated per location. They blow everyone away, even though they're closed a day a week. But it's not just a matter of having enough money to open a ChickfilA operation. You can't just say, hey, I want one of these.
Right.
I don't care how much money you have. You got to be the right person.
Right.
So they're very picky because that model only works if you got the right person running the operation based on.
That's exactly right.
Established. And that's what it kind of strikes me as her is like, she's kind of like got a ChickfilA of, what's that model even called? It's the consignment model almost. Not really.
Yes.
Is that what she calls it?
She calls it a co-op. And so
the co-op,
which it is basically, it's kind of like, you would think of like an antique store or something that they rent their booths out, but like, she wants it to be all like really cute and everything blends, you don't just have walls up. It has to look like, she wants it to look like one complete store. So that's pretty cool that she does that.
That's great. And some of those contacts have allowed you mentioned earlier, those wholesale contacts are ones that you're selling on stuff on Amazon. Would you consider all those replans as well?
Yeah, they are. I do. I feel like
run them through the Keepa filter to make sure you're not just guessing.
Sure. And a lot of the items that I do have, they're more of a lower priced item. So sometimes it's just not worth my while. When something sells for $7, I honestly just don't even bother with it.
If we can't sell it for at least $16, typically I'm not interested.
No. And so a lot of, since they're kitchen gadgets and things like that, a lot of my items there are a lower end, like, under $10. And so that's why it's hard. I don't have a whole lot of that, but I do have some. And then kind of on that point, I'm getting to the point now where I would like to kind of get in the higher end, not high end, but just get in that $50, $60, $70, $100 range and, take chances on items like that. So that's kind of where my focus has been. I would say in the last month or so is I'm looking for something that sells for $100 or something that sells for $50,
Yeah. We've got a lot of our replans. Some of my favorites, we're putting $20 to $25 into it, selling it for 70 or 80.
Right.
We're putting 50 to 70 into it, selling it for 150. Those are great. The replan model works at any price point.
It does. Exactly. And I mean, I have one product that's great. I just have a hard time getting it. So, I love it because it's a higher end product. It's like a $250 product, but I have a hard time getting it. So that's my problem on that. But
have you ever set up any new listings on Amazon?
No, I haven't.
I haven't
either. I actually got your the Proven brand. What is it called?
proven brand building.
Brand building, yes.
Where we're starting to talk through how to set up the multi-packs and the bundles, get your own brand, get your own unique. I imagine with some of your wholesale connections, even there's probably an opportunity to even white label a rebrand, a hot seller. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking is I want to put like I don't know, just maybe like a little kitchen box or something together. I haven't, but that's kind of, I feel like that's my next step there. But no, I have not set up my own. I don't know why I'm really nervous to do that. But
well, as a replan seller, it's not really necessary.
No, it really isn't.
Jimmy Smith he wrote the book on replans for our community and created the course that you took in the Proven Amazon course. And he's never set up a new listing. Right. I think he's in the process now of launching some brands. He's working with our Hummingbird team. I'll stick a link to that in the show notes. That's our brand building and brand registry, getting all the trademark and all that.
Sure.
Our team that does that. He's working with them to launch some stuff, but you don't have to bring new products to the market. You can sell the underserved ASINs and do very well. That's what the Replans model is.
Right. And, I know you talk all the time about private label, just kind of watch yourself on that. And of course, when I first started looking on YouTube, guess that's what it was all in my head. Okay, I've got to find this product and I've got to, be able to sell it and this and that. And thankfully, I found your podcast before I did that.
So we talked you out of it.
You did. And because it was just like, how am I going to figure all this out? I think that's what was going on in my mind.
Yeah, but it's a lot of moving parts. And
it is.
The industry average, I haven't had anyone challenge me on this, and I've been saying it for 2 years because everyone knows it's true. You got about a 5% chance at best, if you're new to e-commerce, new to selling on Amazon, you've never made money on Amazon, you've never had a $10,000 sales month, let's say, you've got about a 5% chance of succeeding launching a new product on Amazon. I don't care what tools you're using, what course you have, what experts you use, which YouTube channels you're listening to, where you're ordering your product from, what your strategy is. You got about a 5% shot at best. But then we see these replan sellers who organically drift into these hot niche markets, and they're looking at their top 5% of ASINs. And they're going, I think I could make a creative bundle out of this hot moving item. It's not selling because of the brand on the bottle. It's selling because this is a hot product and there's only a few other sellers. I'm going to get in on this action. Right. So there's kind of just float to the top organically as you're making money versus putting $50,000 into an experiment.
Well, yeah. And you have to look at for the private label, I know you have to get advertising and go into all that when you're doing the bundles. So this is how I think of it, at least when you're doing the bundles, if you have a name brand item in there, it's already, people know that. They know that name. And so they're like, oh, well, here, I can get this. And it comes with this other item. Well, why not just, that would be cool. Why not get that instead of just a separate, single.
Create this valuable bundle that no one can compete on.
Exactly.
Because any of us could go get the most popular bottle of ketchup and most popular bottle of mustard, create a new bundle, put it on Amazon. It's probably going to do okay, but anyone can sell on it.
Exactly. Yes.
But you start to get those unique, and that's what we're doing in our provenbrandbuilding.com course right now, going through all those steps.
Right.
It's showing you how to do that, get it set up, do it right, and get into all the, Nathan's going to be talking about the A+ content and making videos, and Amazon just loves brand builders who take advantage of all their marketing new tools or fun tools they have. You're going to rank so great by the time you're done going through that class. We've really got it dialed in. So that's going to be fun for you. We've got students doing hundreds of thousands monthly on their unique branded bundles, I should say.
Right.
The contents of the box is stuff that anyone could go find at Walmart.
Okay.
But the box is branded to them, and they've got a unique element to it that adds value to the whole package somehow. And they've got an incredible ASIN that belongs to them that no one else can compete on. That's better than guessing about a private label spatula from China.
Exactly. And then, of course, now you just sometimes you don't know what you're going to get, is if you're ordering that. But no, it's I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I've just been trying to think of what I could bundle and do. And so I haven't started the course yet, but I need to get on that.
The nice thing is you can experiment too. Again, with private label, you got to order a bunch and hope it works. With this, you're like, oh, let's send in 4 bundles and see what happens. You know,
see what happens.
Let's play with this. Let's have some fun.
Right.
So very good. Well, what else? We've kind of gone through a bit of your story. There's a couple things we have to share. Then I want to hit whatever's on your list. You said you had some notes. Make sure I haven't missed anything important that you had on your mind today. But I do want to share with for transparency's sake. How's it going? Give us some numbers that you're comfortable sharing, just to tell people what's possible, because we haven't hit that yet.
Okay. So I started in September of 2020.
Right.
And I hit 100,000 in sales by August of 2021. So in 11 months, that was my goal, was to hit $100,000. And then after August, it's just like my sales, I was about, 10,000 or, so a month there. And they just have gone up every month. And then I just ended February of 2022 with my best month ever at 27,000 in sales. So
nice work.
My goal is I wanted to, last year I wanted to double my sales, but I'm at that point now where, okay, no, we need to change that goal. I want at least 300,000 this year, but I feel like the momentum that I'm gaining right now, and I get excited about it, I really think I could even increase that.
And that's just the Replans business on Amazon.
Replans and then some wholesale.
Some of your wholesale, right?
Some wholesale,
sure we weren't
but
including
honestly,
your retail store in there.
I feel like I say I'm about 40% wholesale, 60% replans right now. The way in the last 3 months, my direction actually is going a little bit more replans, just because I have instant access to it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my wholesalers are telling me, it's going to be 2 months. Like I just talked to one today and she says, we're not going to have your product until April 1st.
Back ordered. Yeah.
Back ordered. And it's one of my hot selling items. Like I could probably ship in 100, every 2 or 3 weeks or something.
And that's why I say, go into a store and take a picture of the shelf.
Right.
Because that inventory is in stock.
Exactly.
Then do your research. Go back and buy it. Right. Or some people just sit right in the store. They're not afraid to stand there for 3 hours.
I do a little bit of that in the store. And I'm still guilty. I have to say this. I'm still guilty of scanning that UPC code.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't want to walk past a $20 bill. No. It's just sitting there, right?
It's funny. The other day I walked by and I go down the same aisle because I get the same things, but I'm like, okay, I don't remember that. And so I just pulled it down, scanned it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this might be pretty good. Well, then I go ahead and do it. I went ahead and bought a few because I'm like, oh, well, if they don't sell, I'll just keep them for myself or whatever. But I get home and I like doing more of my research at home because it's just, I don't know. I just feel like you can get more, like with Keepa, you just get so much more detail from your laptop or your home computer.
It's easy.
I try using the app and I don't really understand how the app works, I guess, very well.
Yeah. Well, your Chrome extensions just pop right up on your screen on your laptop, right?
It is. It's so nice. And everything's there. And, my Rev Seller, everything's there. So I'm just like, but no, and actually the product was very, very good. But it's just like, it was on the upper shelf, I forgot who said that, but it just caught my eye and I'm like, okay, this one might be good. But so when I do that as I look, but usually I'll just take a picture of something and then come home and research it. That's just easier for me. I just don't have time or in my mind, I don't have time to stand in the store. I'd rather do it at home and I'll put my Netflix on and watch TV, watch a movie while I'm going through looking for products. But, I don't mind it. I think it's fun. It's kind of like somebody told me once, it's almost a little bit like, not gambling, but, you're going out and you're investing. You're investing something. And I take that wrong. It's not like gambling, but it's fun. It's just, it gets to be an addiction.
It feels like a game. It really does.
It does. It's like a game. And then and addiction is not the right word either. It's just like the more, when you realize something sells, you're like, oh, okay. And so you want to go out and get, find something else. And it's fun, And so I love that excitement about the business. I'm not to that point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go prep, or, oh my goodness, I have to go do this. It's still fun to me. And so I love that. It is fun.
Different aspects of this are. But, I will tell you this, as you scale, some of it's going to get tedious. And one of the challenges you have as a leader in business is while it's all still fun, some people may never see it all as fun. There's always parts of a business that you just don't want to do, but you want to slowly start replacing yourself and slowly start doing the things that only you can do and let everyone else do the other stuff. Mm-hmm. That's just, you've got to constantly be in growth mode and replace myself mode, because the times will come where those challenges hit and you got no option but go that route. And you don't want to do those things in a rushed fashion. You want to kind of get out ahead of them. So I think you're well positioned to find some people. You're 60 miles away from any good retail sourcing type locations. Find some people who live in those areas, so it's very convenient for them. And since you're driving 2 hours to your retail store, mm-hmm. maybe it's someone in that area, that they hit the stores and they prep and shop and do the business alongside you on your account and get paid well to do it. That's the way I think an idea for you to start to kind of expand and kind of grow your team and your network, just as a suggestion, any arrangements work. You can do it all with virtual assistants too, which we're starting to see more and more of in our community. Well, I love, one thing we have to share. You mentioned you just had a $27,000 a month as we're recording this last month.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What was your net margins? Do you happen to know?
So I think it's about 20%.
That'd be pretty typical.
Yeah. I think it's about 20.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I'm taking that off of my, I use like the Aura shows you how much your net profit is, because I do run both businesses together. So I probably shouldn't do it that way. I probably should separate them out, but at the end of the year,
if you ever go to sell either one of them, that'd be nice to have it separate. I'm sure your accountant is like, keep them separate.
I know. And I know she's probably going to.
What is this?
No, it's just, it's because what I do when I order for, for my wholesale people, half will go to Amazon, half will go to the shop.
Oh, sure. You're ordering from the same sources. Yeah.
Right. And so it just makes it easier for me just to kind of just group it all together. But I'm looking, it's about 20%. So I'm happy with that.
$6,000 net profit in the bank last month. Just kind of working at your own pace and doing this business the way you've learned it over time. So what is, what's your hourly schedule look like? Like, what's your routine? How many hours?
I would say I'm more part-time because I do help a friend of mine. She owns a kitchen store here locally that I do all of her book work and all that. And then we have cooking classes. I help her with that. So, and that's fun for me because it's the social part of it. I love being out there. And and then between that and going to my other ones, I would say maybe, 20 hours a week is what I spend on Amazon.
Yeah.
And we travel. So, we were just in Utah last week. So, I got home and I have just boxes lined up in my office and, so I've been basically this whole last week I've been working, trying to get everything shipped out. I shipped my final box out today, right before this interview.
So you've got a job that's the equivalent of, if we broke this down as like a per hour thing, very attractive salary of like a high level corporate type worker.
Right.
That's about what but it's a part-time effort. So if you doubled your hours, you double your income.
Well, sure.
This is an incredible flexible business model. So I love it. It's a lifestyle business. It fits into your life where you want it to, working when you want to. Yeah.
Because I can take a weekend or week off or, whatever I want to do. I just, especially if I know we're going to be gone, I try to prepare. Okay, let me just get in as much as I can. And, but we can leave. And, I'm sitting there in Utah and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, well, I just had $1,000 day, So
Isn't
it's
that
kind of nice,
feeling? Those are some of my favorite moments when I just kind of put the business away for a while. And for several hours at a time, or maybe a full day, I'm just doing whatever it is that needed done that day or having fun with my family. And you check in.
Yes.
And you just see all this, the machine's been turning the whole time.
It has.
While you've been gone.
That's the beauty of it. It really is. That's the beauty of the whole business model, I think, is, for one, you can set your own hours. And then now when I first started off and I was doing everything myself, if I had to do it where I was shipping in everything, it would not be fun.
You can't turn it off. Yeah. I mean,
No,
if you turn it off, the money stops.
It does. It does. And that was becoming
it's like the eBay model. Like,
yes, exactly.
You can go on vacation, but nothing sells while you're gone.
No. And I do still have some products that I ship FBM because they are hazmat. And so I'm not allowed to ship them into Amazon.
Yeah. So do we.
But I mean, it's not a whole, maybe 5%, not even 5% probably.
There's some good money there though.
It is.
Hazmat really approval. Good. People pay a lot for cleaning. We've got a 12 pack of a cleaning product that I think that was the one I mentioned earlier. We get about $22, $24 in.
Okay.
And it's selling consistently, like, a sale every other day for $70, $80.
Right.
But we have to ship it, which is fine.
Yes. It's fine. I mean,
I'll put those $40 in the bank. Yeah.
All my, all my shipping services that, the post office and then the UPS store, they all know me very well.
Yep. You get to be friends with all of them. You learn to take them cookies and treats, and they treat you nicer, right?
They do. They really do. I have to say, we have some great employees here. So it's and we're small town, so everybody knows everybody. It's nice. But
I've lived for a good while in that kind of town. Everybody knows everybody's business, which can be a good thing or a bad thing.
No, it's funny how word gets around, because I've had people, oh my gosh, I heard you're selling on Amazon. I didn't even know you could do that. And so,
well, that's how this whole thing started for me 20 years ago, was that exact kinds of conversation. And I'm like, I got tired of saying the same 10-minute explanation over and over. So I finally put it in an email, and that email kept growing. So I put it into a little PDF, and that PDF turned into this.
Right.
So here we are.
Well, I know. And I'm so thankful for you. You just don't, I hope you realize that this is a great community that you have started and continue to do, because it's wonderful.
Thank you for that.
I feel like I finally found like I said, found my home or my place. Because before I just kind of felt like I was not getting scammed, but it was just, it wasn't great information.
I heard a pastor put it this way. See if this resonates, Jamie. You can find your purpose once you've found your people.
Yes, very true.
That's good.
Yes.
So the first challenge isn't to find your purpose. The first challenge is to find your people.
Right.
And then of that, and just like we teach our young kids, like the people you're hanging out with, that's your future. So
for sure,
mind who it is that you're surrounding yourself with.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's nice to know who the leader is, but like, who's typical representative of the culture of this group you're hanging in? Because that's, where they're heading is where you're heading now.
Right.
So I can't take very much credit at all for the way this thing's kind of shaped out, except one of the skills I do have is I'm pretty quick to ban the clowns, get them out, kick them out, the spammers, people who show up and just, they got something to sell and they're trying to jump on stage and scream for a few seconds. Like, you're gone.
No. We're not doing that.
Yeah, we don't do that here. This is a family.
No, it's like, I know I've just had some questions, just simple, kind of just general questions on like something that came up that, it's like, who do you ask? Because it's hard to ask somebody at Amazon, you got to set up a case and do all that. And, I just get in the Facebook group and, I ask the question and I have 5 to 10 people respond and they're all great answers. And I'm like, okay, there's my answer. That's what I needed to know. And so I love that about the whole community. It's just, it's very rewarding to have people that we're all doing the same business, but we're not competing against each other, if that makes any sense. You know,
it's the culture we've built. We're rooting for each other.
Right. Exactly.
I'll get texts from coaching students and I'll send them myself and like, hey, here's an ASIN. We can't get enough of this thing. Go grab it if you've got it. If you got a store in your area, right? So just very cooperative, selling right alongside each other on many of these great ASINs. And the culture, I am proud to be a part of a culture like that.
Right.
Well, hey, Jamie, I always like to leave the door open towards the end of these episodes. This has been a great one, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
What else was on your list? Maybe check your notes. If there's anything else that you wanted to make sure that folks heard today, I think we've covered a lot of great ground. No pressure, of course.
No. One thing I do want to mention, I kind of talked about going to Mesa with Rich and Shelley out there. Yeah. And I think what was so rewarding about that is just first of all, he's got the most fabulous employees. I don't know where he found them, but they're amazing. But it just, actually Colin and Laura, is that right? I think you interviewed them in a podcast.
Yes.
They're from Indiana.
Uh-huh.
They were there with us. And what was great about that is they were a little bit further into their business than we, I basically went there I was doing 10,000 a month. I mean, I just wasn't very far into my business yet. And I loved that when they were there, they were asking questions I would have never thought to answer or to ask. It was just like, oh, well, I didn't even know about that. And so I'd love having other business owners there too, because you can interact with them and then they can kind of, just tell you things that you just didn't know. And I think just being immersed in it like that was what was so good. I think that's what just helped me so much. And then I love getting to see his warehouse and like, oh, okay, well, this is how, we could scale up. Well, when we got home, this is really kind of funny. I think it's kind of a God thing how this works, but a friend of mine, he has a seasoning business here in town, and he actually sells on Amazon. He's his brand sales. I mean, he ships and all that. And he told me, he said, hey, I'm looking for somebody. I've got this warehouse space. I'm needing to share a warehouse space. And I'm like, okay, you're not going to believe this. So I told him about what we just had done. We went out to Mesa, and then I have this Amazon business. He goes, well, Jamie, I ship to Amazon like twice a week. I've got the pallets. He goes, I have everything here. You can just rent space from me. And so I told him I wasn't quite ready at that point right now, but I'm getting really close to doing that. So it was just funny how that opportunity opened up. I would have never, I think, thought of that without going out there and seeing how you could make this on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. It was great. So
yeah, that's what's great about this community is there's always somebody who's a little behind you and a little ahead of you.
Right.
So you can feel helpful and useful. And you can also be inspired and think to yourself, wow, that's the direction I need to be heading.
I was looking at Colin, and he was, 25 years old. I'm like, this kid is going to do amazing things, And so then I'm already thinking, okay, if I can get my boys excited about this, I mean, this is something that they can take over. And so you start thinking in a different way, I think. I don't know, just being around people that are excited about their business. And I love, I was really shocked that I even posted my graph in the Facebook page, because I normally don't do that, but I love seeing those. And I love seeing the people that I made my first sale today, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so exciting.
Yes.
It's just, it makes you feel good, because even though I didn't help them with that, I feel like I'm part of that community that, I can cheer them on.
Yeah. And that is, we can't overemphasize how valuable that is to just be in a group of people.
Right.
Our culture tells us several negative messages about businesses, business people, profit, evil capitalism. And business is a beautiful thing.
It is.
Yeah, I say all the time, quoting again, the guy that you mentioned earlier, Daniel Lappin, who I've had the opportunity to become good friends with. It's just incredible. He's been at our events and spoken, and he says something like that it's impossible to run a profitable business without dramatically improving the lives of countless other people.
Right.
The thing we're doing just in running profitable businesses and encouraging others to do so, we really are lifting our culture in a way that no other entity or institution is capable of. It's on us.
Right.
Small business is like 70% of business in America.
It is.
We're the ones carrying the load. Each of us a little bit at a time. But to be in a community of people who get it, who see business and profit as a virtuous thing, creating opportunity and integrating our families into the routine.
I know.
It's a special group for sure. I'm glad
really
we spent some
is.
time on that.
It really is. But no, I'm really, I don't know if I have really any, I'm sorry. I'm just sitting there looking at all my notes that I read.
No, that's fine. Hey, like I told you before we hit record, it's just a couple friends hanging out, chatting through.
Right. But no, I guess mainly I just want to thank you for having me be on, and just for this great community that you've established. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you,
So,
Jamie. Thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate your time because I bumped you around a little bit today. You were the one being very flexible.
I
So
was
appreciate
flexible
that.
today.
That's awesome. Well, now's a good chance for me to talk to the listeners for a minute and
Okay.
thank them for joining us too.
Okay.
Because they gave us some of their most valuable resource today, Jamie, some of their time. And
Right.
we're grateful for that. Thanks for hanging out with Jamie and I, listening to her story and some of the lessons that we shared today. I learned some cool stuff. I hope you did as well, listeners. And send us your feedback. This is my chance as well to encourage you to do a couple things. One of them is if you're watching on YouTube, which a lot of our episodes are on YouTube, many of them aren't, if you didn't realize it. But you can go to silentjim.com and hear what you've been missing because a lot of our episodes are audio only. But if you're on YouTube, leave us a thumbs up, make a comment, ask a question. We monitor that as good as we can and subscribe. But if you're on your favorite podcast app, we love seeing reviews there as well. Since this is a free show with a $0 marketing budget, that really helps us if you spread the word for us and we can keep this show free. So God bless all the business building warriors. And Jamie, one more time, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It was a great time hanging out with you today.
Yes.
And hey, quick question. You planning to join us in August for our event? Do you have plans
Yes, hopefully. Yes.
We don't know the date of the city yet. We will know soon, but mid-August, circle it on your calendar. We're going to get together, get the whole community and have a good time. So I look forward to
like always making our business trip a little personal into, so it'll be fun.
Well, based on the cities we have, I can't say anything yet because I just can't, but either way it goes, it's going to be a fun place to hang out. So
good. Well, I'm excited.
You'll be glad to come a couple of days early and maybe stay a day or two late.
Hey, so that sounds good.
Be a good time. And that invitation's extended to, of course, all the listeners say too, if you keep an eye on, I'm going to have a lot of links in the show notes today, but The Proven Conference is the link where we will change that page eventually. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, that page has been converted to details for our August 2022 event. But
my cat's trying to come in here.
Oh, that's great. No, we love when cats and pets and kids interrupt. Who's this?
This is Sammy.
Sammy the cat made an appearance.
Sammy the cat.
So maybe
he likes sitting right in front of my computer.
How'd we do, Sammy? This was really fun. So thanks for hanging out with Jamie and I today. We appreciate it. God bless you, business building warrior. We're in your corner. We're praying for you. Our leadership team sees this as ministry. That means we want to be here for you in a way that's bigger than just helping you put more money in the bank. We want to see your life improved. We want to see you drawn closer to God. That's our mission around here. So if that resonates, jump in, come check us out, join our free Facebook group, spread the word about our podcast. We'll see you again next time real soon. Thanks. Hey, this is Jim. One last thing before I let you go. I want to remind you about our latest tremendous sponsor of this program, youre.com. It's a repricing tool that's used by many people on our leadership team. Many of our coaching students use it. At the point where you've got a lot of replens selling using the systems that you've learned from us, it's really smart to put some automation in place that adjusts your prices so that you win the buy box more often at the best possible price. One of the tools we love is youre.com. And check this out. They've set up a 3-month huge discount for the listeners of this audience. If you go to youre.com/Jim, that's GOAURA.com/Jim, that's me. And then when you're checking out, use the code SILENTRADIO to get 25% off your first 3 months. This is a tool that will save you a whole bunch of time. I think you'll love it. Let us know what you think. Thanks to our new sponsor, youre.com.